On this Sunday night, we were on a base in northern Mali as the first Canadians arrived to join the UN peacekeeping mission here. We'll look at the situation they will face on the ground and in the air, and we'll ask Canada's top soldier about the mission's goals and challenges. Canada is back in the peacekeeping game, but the game has changed.
Also tonight at a wet Toronto Pride Parade, we'll look at why it was both a time for joyful optimism and a chance to mourn those lost so violently. Celebration casting shadow. This is The National.
Since Canadians first put on their blue helmets, peacekeeping has taken them around the world to places of dire need and danger. Tonight, it brings them to Mali, a stormy place in so many ways. This is a big country, one of the poorest in the world, a place often seen as two halves. The capital, Bamako, is in the southwest. Gao, where we are now, is in the more remote and restive northeast. The UN base here is known as Camp Castor, home to the Dutch, the Germans, and the Canadians. The advance team has already arrived, and it's already been a bit of a slog. Mali isn't making this easy. Canada's first efforts to get to the north of the country and the UN base that will be home for a year have been a bit rough. Problems drop from the skies.
We're moving in the rainy season. It's very difficult for us to move things over the ground because the roads in that part of Mali are mostly dirt roads, so it makes it very difficult for us to move those heavy pieces of kit and equipment through that means, so we can't use that. And then, of course, Mali is a landlocked country, so we can't sail things in either.
So this is the theater activation team supposed to be heading from Bamako into Gao. But listen to that. The storm that has moved in is not going away. This flight was already scuttled once because of a sandstorm. They tried again today, but this rain is relentless. On the verge of conceding defeat, a window to fly.
We are going to be operating in a threat environment after takeoff and prior to landing.
On board, about a dozen soldiers who are really the advance team to the advance team, charged with readying the base for the 250 Canadians and 6 helicopters that will move in August.
That's the camp.
And then there's General Jonathan Vance, the chief of the defense staff. The boots of the boss aren't usually the first to touch the ground on a mission like this, but it's been a long time since Canada was this engaged in peacekeeping. Being here mattered to him, and not just operationally.
I think it is important that Canadians understand deeply what their troops are doing and what their troops are not doing.
He's right, it needs explaining. Look around, the airport terminal still scarred from an attack, the fortification, the weaponry. Canadians are heading into a mission that by some accounts feels on some days like Iraq or Afghanistan, not the peacekeeping of Canada's past. This is messier. Being here mattered to him, and not just operationally.
This is a mission sponsored by the UN. If you could think of it as a UN mission and not necessarily a peacekeeping mission.
5 years in, and the extremists haven't been driven out. Frighteningly, some Islamist groups are joining forces and skills. The wall of the dead at the main UN base in Mali, unfortunately, has room for more, and the deputy force commander for the UN doesn't sugarcoat a thing. Do you feel like some of your soldiers are being targeted?
Absolutely, because we don't have the intelligence at real time. This is a problem. If Canada can provide assets to get the information at real time, I think it's easy to defeat the attacks.
But that's not really in Canada's plans. This is an offer of help with medical evacuations, Canada replacing the German helicopter team. But why not take on more? Canada is certainly capable of taking on more. Other smaller countries are assuming more risk. Were there any options for infantry or ground patrol units?
No, I offered no options in that regard because the mission didn't have any gaps and to this point does not have any gaps for that kind of a capability. They needed the helicopters because the Germans were leaving.
The commitment is 1 year. What would change that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I think it's a hard date, Adrian.
This is Canada then seemingly giving what it can. The flag is up and the clock is starting. UN peacekeeping missions seem magnetically attracted to awkward acronyms. This one is known as MINUSMA. It's extensive, expensive, and by far the most dangerous in the world. As we mentioned, it's about 13,000 people strong, including military, police, and civilian personnel, with an annual budget of around $1 billion. Since it began in 2013, at least 169 peacekeepers have lost their lives. There are 14 active UN peacekeeping missions around the world now, across 4 continents. So why has Canada come to Mali? Well, the truth is, Canada has been contributing to the development of Mali for a very long time, long before the troops. Tens of millions of dollars spent trying to get this country stable and healthy again, and every dollar sorely needed, because Mali matters far beyond the spread of its borders. The migration crisis only sporadically makes the news these days, but the crisis never stopped. Floating death traps are packed with the desperate and launched into the Mediterranean all the time. More than 100,000 people fled last year from Libya's lawless coast alone. A big part of that problem starts in Mali. Trace the migration routes from the Mediterranean back, and you find Mali and neighboring Niger, sitting right at a critical crossroads. Hard to imagine solving or even managing the crisis without bringing some kind of order here. The rough, scorching wastelands of Mali's north are beaten by drought and a measure of despair. This place is the definition of lawless, not easy to govern at the best of times.
Beyond 50 kilometers from Timbuktu, you will never meet the state. There are people in this community who have never seen a Malian doctor, a Malian teacher, a Malian soldier. The ethnic groups have told me that our problem is not the jihadists, our problem is the Malian state, which we never see.
It is precisely the sort of vacuum extremist groups are rushing to fill. Militants fuel their activities smuggling drugs, guns, and people through here. And as groups like ISIS and al-Qaeda face pressure elsewhere, Mali has become a magnet for international jihadists. The fear is Mali becomes a link in an unbroken chain of extremist activity stretching across Africa's Sahel region from coast to coast, another so-called caliphate in the making. That could act as a base for global terrorism, and that thought panics Europe. Trying to stop it are a fragile local government and international troops to secure a harsh territory twice the size of France. The UN has been trying to get more Canadian military involvement for years. Justin Trudeau was elected in part on a pledge to return Canada to peacekeeping. Analysts have been baffled by the results.
When the Prime Minister announced that Canada was back on the night of his election, many of us thought that we would see the number of peacekeepers double or triple in a matter of weeks or months. But in fact, Canada reached an all-time low.
Even now, Canada's 250 troops and its handful of helicopters are a welcome but hardly game-changing contribution to the UN mission. This is about holding the line, keeping the peace, and hoping everyone makes it back safe. We'll have more on Canada's mission tomorrow, all the dangers, all the challenges here in Mali. And you know, 16 Malian civilian shepherds were killed just today, and this violence is a reminder of how and why people are trying to flee this country, and all of that is fueling the migrant crisis that you, Ian, are following tonight.
That's right, Adrian. The urgent question for the EU, how to decide who should respond to the people fleeing via North Africa's coast. And today, that was most clearly seen in the plight of hundreds on board 2 ships desperate for safe harbor. As Italy and Malta fight over which should take them in, the ships sit at sea, waiting for permission to dock. The rescue ship Lifeline has well over 200 on board, while a Danish ship is carrying more than 100 migrants. All of this underscores a bitter fight raging across Europe, even as the number of migrants is a fraction of what it was 3 years ago. Today, many EU leaders met to talk about solutions. Italy wants the burden of taking them in shared more equally, instead of having it fall totally on countries closest to Africa. Others want migrant centers set up within North African countries to process people before they get on ships in the first place. A full EU summit will discuss it all later in the week. Of course, on this side of the Atlantic, the United States is grappling with a migrant crisis of its own. Protests over the more than 2,000 migrant children separated from their parents are getting louder, but falling on deaf ears. The CBC's Paul Hunter looks at the hardening lines.
Free the children now! Free the children now!
Not far from one of those detention centers in Texas, growing outrage over how the Trump administration treats illegal migrants. Specifically, children separated from their families after a directive from Donald Trump himself.
And people throughout the country, people of every different background, as you can see here, have come together to say that this is not who we should be in the United States of America or anywhere.
The images of young people, sometimes in cages before being taken from their parents, who in turn were to be criminally prosecuted for a crime which, until Trump, was treated as a misdemeanor, has riveted this country.
You're going to have a lot of happy people.
Trump reversed his directive last week, but for these protesters, it's not enough. What about all those already taken from their families? Some 2,000 children. Government officials say they've got tabs on all of them, but today, the senior Democratic senator on Capitol Hill called for a czar to cut through the bureaucracy and reunite families faster.
Word is that the process could take a very long time, much longer than it should. And so we have to find a way to expedite the process.
For his part, Donald Trump today reverted to a hard-line position on migrants who, in his words, break into and invade the U.S. When somebody comes in, he wrote, we must immediately, with no judges or court cases, bring them back from where they came. In other words, set aside constitutionally guaranteed due process. And as he told one-time presidential candidate Mike Huckabee,
we have to have the wall. If anything, it shows how much we need the wall.
Back at that rally in Texas, a pledge that the real response to Trump will be in the voting booth come the midterm elections in November.
Who's on the right side of history? We are!
They're angry, Ian, and determined.
You mentioned the children that are still separated, so what more do we know about them?
Yeah, well, officials describe it as a well-coordinated effort to reunite them with their families, but it's unclear how well it's actually going. And that's why Chuck Schumer wants a czar to oversee it all. I mean, there are reports of migrants being given a phone number to call and sometimes getting through to their kids off in another state somewhere, but sometimes not being able to get through to them at all. Other times they're told they'll get a call back, but that's complicated when the parents themselves are in detention. On top of that, there are other reports of parents being deported without their children, which makes it even more complicated to reunite. In short, Ian, it remains a mess.
Okay, Paul, thank you. Here's a look at some of the developing stories we're watching through the night, starting with today's election in Turkey. Supporters of the Turkish president Tayyip Erdogan are celebrating tonight after he won the country's presidential election, but not everyone is so festive. Erdogan has been accused of leading his country towards authoritarianism by concentrating executive power at the expense of parliament. And a new constitution will soon grant him even more autonomy.
It's our right, finally. We're talking.
In Saudi Arabia, hundreds of women got behind the wheel today as the country lifted its ban on female drivers. Activists fought for the right for decades, some ending up in jail. 120,000 women have applied for a driver's license. They don't need a man's permission to drive. However, they still need a man's okay to marry, work, and travel. A weekend-long party continues in Quebec tonight for Fête Nationale, the provincial holiday also known as Saint-Jean-Baptiste Day. All three federal leaders were in Quebec to take part in the celebration and conveniently to get a little glad handing in. That's all ahead of a fall provincial election and, of course, the federal vote next year. Still ahead on the national, gray skies and black clothing, a different tone to the Toronto Pride Parade as the community marks its first Pride since alleged serial killer Bruce McArthur was arrested. Natalie Collada takes us there. Plus, coming out while playing high-level football, meet the 22-year-old Canadian forging his own path. And 3 years ago today, Shawn Mendes debuted his music video for Stitches. Since then, it's been viewed almost 1 billion times on YouTube.
And now that I'm without your kisses, I'll be needing stitches.
That was only the beginning for the Canadian social media star turned international pop idol. He's got a new album out, and he says it's his most personal yet. Shawn Mendes sits down with Q's Tom Power just ahead.
Does it ever help me?
A flood of people despite a deluge of rain. Nothing could stop the party in Toronto today at the city's annual Pride Parade. The downpour stopped just in time for the start of the march, and that was as good as sunshine for the 120 groups taking part in this year's Pride Parade and the thousands of people lining the streets. The rain did eventually return, but it didn't seem to dampen the spirits of participants or spectators, at least not until talk turned to safety in the LGBT community. Natalie Collada explains.
Joy, support, and a sense of freedom were all on display at Canada's largest Pride Parade.
As someone who comes from a small town, you know, Pride just represents the fact that I can find a community in a place where, I mean, I didn't find community before.
Just pretty much being who you are.
But this year, there was also an undercurrent of sadness. For a minute, the parade stopped and people paused to remember the victims of alleged serial killer Bruce McArthur. This is the first Pride Parade since the remains were found of 8 men with ties to Toronto's gay village, several from South Asian and Middle Eastern communities.
It had to take a white man to go missing before we paid attention to everything else, so that's when race came into it. It felt like the police took it a little bit seriously then.
The belief that police didn't take the gay village disappearances seriously deepened tensions between the force and the community. Today, this Toronto police officer says they want to fix the problem.
We're still not doing everything that we possibly can do, and we do need to do a better job. What we need to do is take ownership of our mistakes and move forward from there and get better at our connection with the community, get better at listening to the community.
Still, Toronto police were asked not to march in uniforms in this year's parade. Tonight, a separate march was held, its participants in black to highlight the community's safety concerns.
Well, some of us might feel comfortable and some of us might feel safe. Many of us do not. And Bruce McArthur has highlighted the fact that, in fact, members of different kinds of communities perhaps don't feel as able to come out as others, and we're trying to change that.
This year's Pride was all about taking back the streets to feel safe again, so wounds can heal and celebration won't have to be tinged with sadness. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
You Can Play, a group that champions equality for all athletes, was at Toronto Pride today. Members of the group joined by representatives of the Toronto Raptors, the NHL Players Association, and the Toronto Blue Jays. But LGBT athletes have very few role models to look up to. Currently, not a single openly gay athlete plays in any North American men's pro league. And amateur athletes still regularly encounter harassment. In a 2015 survey, 84% of gay men and 88% of lesbians said they'd been the target of homophobic slurs while playing a sport. Donovan Hillary is an amateur athlete who's lived through the harassment. He not only quit football, he nearly took his own life. And now he's back on the field hoping to inspire other gay athletes. Cameron McIntosh has more.
Just one of the guys. Donovan Hillary finally feels like it here.
I've always separated football and my personal life.
Supported by his Winnipeg Rifles teammates of the Canadian Junior Football League after coming out in an article online describing years of internal conflict between his sport and being gay.
It's one of the most uplifting things. And just to, you know, realize now that, you know, that you don't have to hide anymore.
Hillary is a 6'2", 225-pound middle linebacker, quick to knock down anyone coming his way. In 2014-15, he played for the Queen's University Gales, pro football later a possibility. But he had trouble fitting into a culture of a team where he says anti-gay slurs and harassment were common.
So I don't think it was necessarily directed at me specifically, but it's these instances that really kind of make you unsure of yourself.
His uncomfort led to depression. On campus, he says he found little in the way of support. By his second season,
I felt at that time, suicide might be my solution. And I don't think now that that's ever the right choice.
The Queen's Gaels are sporting a pride flag on their Twitter profile this month. In a statement, Queen says it regrets Donovan's experience. Every student should feel accepted, included, and supported, adding student athletes are required to sign on to a code of conduct.
I don't think a lot of those players had ill intentions. I just think they were unaware who might be listening.
Others in football have come out before. Michael Sam, the first openly gay NFL draft pick, played very briefly for the CFL's Montreal Alouettes before retiring for mental health reasons. Acceptance, says Hillary, remains a struggle for many gay athletes.
There's still a lot of people out there who feel like they have to choose between playing their sport and being who they are.
Hillary says he's found acceptance here, his sexuality on the sidelines, as he prepares for his team's first game.
I expect a win, first and foremost.
With the support of his teammates. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Still ahead on the National. As World Cup fever rages in Russia, Chris Brown catches up with a protester in exile who's watching from afar. Plus, he went viral in 2013, released a top 10 single in 2015, and headlined his first world tour in 2016. Now just 19 years old, Shawn Mendes has a new album out. The expectations, huge.
One thing that I always think about is pressure creates diamonds. And so without that pressure, I think the care wouldn't be there to make work that you really think is incredible. And then the success wouldn't be there. So that pressure ultimately creates success.
Shawn Mendes sits down with Tom Power, host of Q on CBC Radio 1, to talk about music, growing up in the spotlight, next on The National.
Here we go. Just remember the greatest gift is today. Just remember your greatest gift is today. Take it down to the side, sway it to the right.
Oh, I've been shaking. I love it when you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back.
You probably recognize that. Shawn Mendes' his smash hit, Nothing Holding Me Back, a song title that could serve as a slogan for the young Canadian's life and career right now, as he rides a wave of success that seems to continue to grow. But it wasn't that long ago. Mendes was a typical Canadian teenager. He lived in the suburbs with his parents. He was active on social media, which was what first opened the door for him. Now, of course, Mendes is a huge star, and despite being so successful, so young, he is remarkably down to earth. As Tom Power, the host of Q on CBC Radio 1, found out when he sat down with Mendes for a feature interview. Here is their conversation.
I saw you on a Sunday in a cafe, and all you did was look my way.
Shawn Mendes is a homegrown pop sensation. Just 19, he already has 3 #1 albums under his belt.
This is my first ever come home performance in Pickering.
Raised just outside Toronto in Pickering, Ontario, he started out like so many other young artists. Singing at home, posting clips of his covers online.
Guess it's true, I'm not good at a one-night stand.
His followers grew. Quickly, he went from Vine star to pop star. His first 2 albums took him to another level. Now his latest self-titled record has already reached #1 on iTunes in over 80 countries. I met up with Shawn Mendes to talk about his music, but I also met an artist who opened up about a lot more.
Cool. Let's go. Shawn Mendes, welcome.
Hey, thanks, man.
Nice to see you, man.
You too.
What was the moment that you knew things were going to be different for you? Can you pinpoint a moment where you went, this is not a normal thing to happen to a kid?
Yeah. When I came down to Toronto, and there was this meetup of Viners, and I came up from the subway station, and there was about 300 people who all turned their heads and started chasing me.
So chasing you?
Literally, they chased me.
Sounds scary, can I say that?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so exciting, being like, this is not normal, you know? People are this excited to see me. That was a big moment.
Are there ever moments where you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram or something like that, and you see your friends from Pickering, your friends who you grew up with, and and they're having a little bit more of a normal life as a 19-year-old,
Yeah.
and you go, geez, I'd like to be able to do something like that.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No.
That sounds like gratitude. That's
It
great,
is.
yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I know there's obviously a lot of sacrifices to be made to do what I do, but then there's millions and millions more things that I get to do that are incredible that I'm sure every 19-year-old in the world would love to do. And it's not hard to forget that for me. I live in a beautiful condo in Toronto at 19 years old.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my friends come and see it. You know, it's incredible for them to see, and I'm reminded every day how incredible it is that I get to do this for a living. So I see what you're asking. Yeah, I sometimes want to be able to go to university parties and stuff.
Or go to Subway and order a sandwich and not, you know?
And you know, the answer to that is just do it still.
Mendes may be trying to live the life of a normal 19-year-old, but life is anything but typical. A recent duet with Taylor Swift, carpool karaoke with James Corden.
Pulls me in enough to keep me guessing.
Sounds hard to beat, but for Shawn Mendes, there's something even more exciting. Having his song become an anthem for Portugal's World Cup soccer team.
I think that's one of the coolest things ever. Because I played soccer for 7 years when I was a kid, and my idol, my hero is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. Had a good game the other day.
Oh my God, best game ever.
It was amazing.
And I'm a serious
I can tell.
Portugal fan.
Yeah, I can tell.
So when that was just so insane to me, you know, to be able to sing the anthem for the team.
This record is being seen as a change for you. It's being written about as a more quote unquote grown-up record.
Yeah,
Does it feel that way for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I make music for me first and foremost, but I also really love making music for people. Like I love writing a song and watching somebody else really enjoy it, you know?
Right.
So 50% of it is for me, do I love it? And then 50% of it is will they love it? Yeah.
But of that 50%, will they love it? Is there any
doubt that they will love it?
Well, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. You have no idea if they're gonna love it. You just hope. And then that's why I've been so blown away by the reaction of this album, because I took a chance and I broke through in a couple of genres and did a little more R&B, did a little bit more, you know, rock, and people connected with it. They could have easily not connected with it, you know?
Do you feel any pressure to follow this stuff up?
To follow it up? Yeah.
To follow up the success you've already had?
And I think most artists put more pressure on themselves than anybody else.
What does that look like? What does that feel like, that pressure?
It's just a non-stop internal battle with yourself. The pressure, one thing that I always think about is pressure creates diamonds. Yeah. And so without that pressure, I think the care wouldn't be there to make work that you really think is incredible. And then the success wouldn't be there. So that pressure ultimately creates the success.
For some, pressure may create success, and Shawn Mendes has already accomplished a lot in the music world, but he's also been honest and upfront about dealing with anxiety.
Help me. It's like the walls are caving in.
He's even written about it with his new song, In My Blood.
No medicine is strong enough.
In My Blood had this other extra layer to it, which was with the concept, which what it was about. You know, overcoming fears of anxiety, and it, as a songwriter and as a person, that was the most I've ever put into a record, and so that was the thing. And I was definitely really scared because it's had nothing like I've done in the past, you know.
Right. I mean, so how are you doing with that right now?
Good. I mean, I think the thing is about anxiety is that it comes in phases and it's different for everybody. And in a moment when I was having it, I wrote a song about it, and I'm great right now. But I mean, I'm super proud of that record.
It's something I struggle with too, man. You know,
Yeah.
like it's every day, and I've had to go see people for it to deal with anxiety. I think that when people like you sing about it, when you're able to be kind of vulnerable like that, it really means a lot to people.
It becomes much more normal for whatever normal means.
But is that on your mind? Like,
yeah,
this is normalizing a little bit. This is making it okay.
Yeah, man. I think and the only way progression is going to happen is by talking about it and by allowing people to everybody to talk about it, you know. It just becomes more of a normal thing, and hopefully in 10 years from now, nobody is really worried about it. And hopefully 10 years from now, we have better ways of dealing with it because people talk about it and they don't suppress it, you know.
A lot of this record was produced by you and Teddy Geiger, who, while you were recording, came out as transgender. It must have been incredibly powerful to witness. What was it like to be there for her at that time?
Teddy and I have been friends for a long time. She wrote Stitches, which was the reason I'm, you know, here today.
Yeah.
And
I heard it on the way here.
Yeah, and yeah, it's funny, it still plays on the radio. Yeah. We had an immediate kinetic connection, just immediately. And every session after that, I went on to write Treat You Better with her and Mercy and Holding Me Back and In My Blood, and eventually was like, I have to do the album with her. You know, when that happened, it was such a big moment in her, the biggest thing to happen in her life as we were creating the biggest album of my life. So there was so much energy and so much emotion that I think it actually fueled the fire of creating the album. And it's a little difficult for me to explain, but I think for anybody that ever questions transgender, if they had one of their best friends decide to go through with it, it takes a couple weeks to get used to referring to someone as a pronoun that you're not used to. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I referred to Teddy as a she, and she looked at me with this sense of joy, like, and I mean the sense of joy that like you really don't see very often. She was so happy internally because I nonchalantly just referred to her as a she, as I do. And in that moment, everything was just like, wow, if everybody could see this, there would be no questions anymore.
Some interesting insights from a big star. Here's a sense of how well Shawn Mendes is doing right now. His third album has become his third to hit #1, and he becomes the third youngest performer to achieve that, behind only Miley Cyrus and fellow Canadian Justin Bieber. The new record debuted at #1 on iTunes in dozens of countries around the world. And if you'd like to hear Tom's full interview with Shawn Mendes, tune into Q on CBC Radio 1 tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. local time. It will also be posted online at cbc.ca/Q. Next, in the National Dispatch, a time of celebration for plenty of Russians. The World Cup is in Moscow, and the team is outperforming expectations. But for one of the country's youngest political exiles, it's a time to reflect on what he's left behind and what he wishes he could go back to.
I have mixed feelings of, you know, reading World Cup in Russia, like in Russian language, on the stadium, and realizing that it's in Moscow right now, and I could be there easily. But okay, I'm in Germany.
Morning, David.
Ew, what are you all doing here? Love is definitely in the air. Oh God, your face.
I know my face. It's a heat rash or something. I look like the Phantom of the Opera.
Stop touching your face.
You stop touching your face.
Less than 1 week after a Siberian tiger correctly picked Russia to beat Egypt to the World Cup, another is predicting a win for the motherland over Uruguay tomorrow. And who knows, maybe the big cats are onto something, since the Russians have beaten the odds so far, which has only heightened the mood across the country. It's hard to overstate how excited Russians are about all of this. Playing host and having a competitive team has inspired a wave of national pride, even among those who have been forced to flee the country for political reasons. Our Chris Brown catches up with a prominent young Russian exile in tonight's Dispatch from Bonn, Germany.
With the World Cup in Russia and the Russian team winning, it should be an awesome time to be a Russian soccer fan.
That was their chance.
But for Igor Cherniak, the emotions are bittersweet.
I have mixed feelings of, you know, reading World Cup in Russia, like in Russian language, on the stadium, and realizing that it's in Moscow right now, and I could be there easily. But okay, I'm in Germany.
We're in Bonn, Germany, watching a match next to the Rhine River. The city is the latest stop on what's been an unwanted, unnerving journey for the 20-year-old political activist since he was forced to flee his country.
I had to leave Russia because of criminal investigation against me, and you know, anti-extremist specials concocted a charges. So, yeah, I'm here.
This is where the hole was?
Yeah.
Right here? Our CBC team first met Igor in March in Kaliningrad, a Russian city on the Baltic Sea. Though still a teenager, he headed up the local headquarters for opposition leader and Putin nemesis, Alexei Navalny, and that made him a target.
Brick landed here, and
he showed us where a brick was thrown through his window and nearly cracked his skull. He told us how Russian police were constantly intimidating him because of his ties to Navalny. In mid-April, he says police gave him an ultimatum: hand over everything he had on Navalny's activities or be put in a psychiatric hospital.
They looked at me as if I'm an ISIS terrorist.
ISIS terrorist?
Yeah.
The situation was urgent, so he fled.
You know, it happens with every horrendous thing that could happen, right? You're kind of mentally prepared for it, but once it happens, you're feeling kind of scared. To me, that was just sad because of the conditions that I was forced to leave country.
Even as Russians throw a giant party, scores of people who oppose Vladimir Putin's government live in fear. Many are in jail. Others, like Igor, got out while they could. And in Bonn, he found lots of company. Igor was feted by prominent Russians living in exile, many of whom fight the Putin government from abroad because it's too dangerous for them at home. Among them is Zhana Nemtsova. She is the 34-year-old daughter of Russia's most revered opposition figure, the late Boris Nemtsov. Nemtsov was assassinated 3 years ago. Practically every day since, his supporters have brought flowers to the bridge next to the Kremlin where he was gunned down. The memorial is still here during the World Cup, even if most tourists don't understand its significance. Nemtsova, a journalist with the Russian-language arm of German public broadcaster Deutsche Welle, set up a foundation in her father's name. It recognizes acts of courage, including Igor's.
That is very sad that people must be very courageous to promote human values, to promote democracy, to speak publicly. So if you criticize Russian government or Russian political leadership, you must be courageous.
For those here, the World Cup and its gleeful scenes elicit conflicted feelings. While it's easy to find people who are boycotting it completely, prominent Putin critic Vladimir Kara-Murza says the tournament shows another side of Russia to the world.
Now, people shouldn't equate an entire country of 140 million people with a small group of kleptocrats who are sitting in the Kremlin.
Kara-Murza is now based in the United States after twice being poisoned in Russia, which he blames on Putin.
Putin doesn't care about football. He doesn't care about sports. All he needs is a nice photo op with the leaders of Western democracies to show that he's still respected, to show that he's still treated as an equal.
For Igor Cherniak, the next stop is university in the United States, where a scholarship awaits. He likely won't be able to go home for years, and with all that's happened, he would have every right to be angry. Yet he says he's not.
It tells a lot that everything that we've done is right, and we gotta keep fighting.
But Zhana Nemtsova worries about the brain drain of young talent that may never return to Russia.
That's very sad that these bright, talented, very hardworking and courageous people leave Russia because we lose human capital. Of course, he now says that he's going to come back upon the completion of his studies abroad, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm very pessimistic.
My direction, thank you.
Igor Cherniak may be Russia's youngest political dissident. Everyone who joined him on stage and spoke at the event said they're pinning their hopes for political change in Russia on him and his generation. Chris Brown, CBC News, in Bonn, Germany.
So is the Russian President Vladimir Putin using soccer as a smokescreen to quietly slip through his agenda? Well, according to some reports, yes. Russian journalists say security forces were given sweeping powers to arrest perceived enemies of the state even before the World Cup began. Since then, it's alleged they have rounded up members of religious minorities, a top Russian energy company official accused of being a Romanian spy, and several dissident organizers. Still ahead on The National, a hit Canadian comedy shows its pride in Toronto. Dan Levy and other cast members from Schitt's Creek march with a message at one of North America's largest LGBTQ celebrations.
Visibility, I think, is the most important thing, celebrating the community, being here to support, showing up and doing our part and, having some fun while we're at it.
The swinging 60s.
This is wild.
Super cool.
Here we have the centennial cake. Oh, doesn't this stuff come in boxes?
Those just look horrible. And now we have to eat that. Back in Time for Dinner. New episode, Thursday at 8 on CBC.
The ties between our royal families stretch back over many generations. My grandmother, the Queen, and His late Majesty King Hussein ascended to the throne exactly 1 month apart in 1952.
Some of the stories we'll be tracking this week, watching the Duke of Cambridge on his historic 5-day tour of the Middle East, beginning in Jordan, where he'll stay for a couple of days. William will also visit both Israel and the West Bank. Canadian civil rights pioneer Viola Desmond will receive yet another posthumous award later this week in her hometown of Halifax. It will be unveiled at Halifax Ferry Terminal on Friday. A new $10 bill featuring Desmond was introduced this March, and last year she was inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame. And next Sunday, our own Rosemary Barton will host the big CBC Canada Day special in Ottawa, where, as you can see, preparations are well underway. It airs from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll have more details throughout the week. And we'll be watching the action at the World Cup. A busy day today. England advancing to the knockout stage after pulverizing Panama 6-1. That country's dreams are now over for this tournament, as are Poland's. Colombia made sure of that today with a convincing 3-0 victory. Also in Group H, Japan and Senegal battled to a 2-2 draw. So 1 game to go for Colombia, Japan, and Senegal, but only 2 of them will make it through. And with World Cup fever sweeping the globe right now, we want to share a story about how soccer can be a healing force, especially for one little boy in Winnipeg who lives for the beautiful game. 2 years after the Syrian civil war cost him a leg and almost his life. Karen Pauls explains.
This Syrian refugee family loves soccer, watching it and playing.
I'm good at soccer. Fun, so much fun, exciting.
These brothers have been playing soccer since they could walk, starting in Aleppo, Syria. But for 10-year-old Ahmed, it's more of a challenge.
And then when we went to go play soccer outside, a bomb came down and then I fell on the ball and I fell on the wall and then I fell down and then big rocks were coming and then my leg got cut.
Ahmed lost his leg.
I was so mad and sad.
It's one of the reasons the family fled their home.
My house is bombed and my son lost leg.
They went to a refugee camp in Turkey, then came to Canada in 2016, part of the Trudeau government's commitment to resettle more than 25,000 Syrian refugees.
There's like something here where I just plug it in. And then
Shortly after arriving in Winnipeg, Ahmed got a prosthetic leg. 2, actually, one for every day and one for sports.
I think that this one is harder to put on because it needs the shoes, but this one already has the shoes, look.
It means he can play soccer again. Every week, you can find him at the Newcomer Sport Academy.
Come on, let's go, let's go.
Coach Andrew Clement says Ahmed is a joy to have in this volunteer-run program.
He was one of our most hardest workers here, and he always comes out with a smile on his face.
This academy started in 2016. The goal? To create a sense of belonging and use sport as a way to integrate into Canada.
It's the world's game. They love it. It's something that unites people and it's a common language.
Ahmed uses crutches to play out, but wears his athletic prosthesis when he's in goal. the language of soccer, bridging their old lives and their new ones. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Earlier, we showed you how this country's largest pride parade took center stage in Toronto today. We're going to go back to that scene now to hear from Canadian actor Dan Levy and some of his castmates on Schitt's Creek. Their celebrations are our moment of the day.
Visibility, I think, is the most important thing, celebrating the community, being here to support, showing up and doing our part and, having some fun while we're at it.
The CBC comedy Schitt's Creek is a show whose characters and storylines have received support from the LGBTQ community. And today, the cast members showed some support of their own, marching in Toronto's Pride Parade. They wore T-shirts inspired by this scene, in which Dan Levy's character, who has dated men and women, discusses his sexuality.
I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine. And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
A Spirit Levy and company brought today to the streets of Toronto.
We had a great time.
Such a great time. So much hooting and hollering.
So much joy and love in one place. It is a real inspiring afternoon.
So much to chat about. I wish my co-hosts were here, but I will say this. First of all, still uncomfortable saying the name of that show. That scene with the wine, fantastic. So if you haven't seen any episodes of that comedy, start with the one where they talk about the wine. It is fantastic. Thank you very much for watching tonight. That is The National for Sunday, June 24th. Good night.